Of the Hashtag Kangaroos podcast. Here is your host, Dean Basic.
Good day, everyone, and welcome back to the Hashtag Kangaroos podcast. I'm Dean Vasic. You can find me on X at Hashtag Kangaroos, Instagram, Hashtag Kangaroos podcast. Well, that one hurts. North Melbourne travelled to Adelaide Oval with a golden opportunity to keep the momentum rolling, but after fighting all the way back to level the scores at three-quarter time, the Roos couldn't finish the job, with Port Adelaide kicking away in the final term to run out pretty convincing winners by 21 points. On today's episode, I'll be breaking down my thoughts on exactly on how the game I felt went. But as always, it's not just my opinion that matters. We'll also hear from you, the North Melbourne faithful, as we go through your thoughts, frustrations, positive and questions following the game. Whether you're disappointed, optimistic or somewhere in between. We'll cover the biggest talking points from another emotional afternoon of Kangaroos footy. Seems to be the way, doesn't it? So settle in. Wherever you're listening, or wherever you are listening, and let's dissect another chapter in North Melbourne's 2026 season. This is the Hashtag Kangaroos podcast. So let's get into my thoughts on the game, because I don't think there's any sugarcoating that first half in particular. It was absolute garbage. It was bruise-free, over-umpired. It was over-umpired the most for the whole game, but I'm not going to focus too much on that. But most importantly, in that first half, there was just zero pressure. There was no proactive approach with the ball. Everything was reactive, slow, and predictable. One stat that really stood out to me was North finishing the first half at minus 13 metres gained from handballs. That tells you everything you need to know. There was virtually no overlap run, no chain handball to break the lines, and no willingness to attack through the corridor. Instead, it was sideways kicks, slow ball movement, and constantly taking the safe option to the boundary. And Port Adelaide absolutely lapped that up. For me, the backline needs more speed. At the moment, it relies too heavily on Colby McKercher to be the one creating drive. The problem is, when he's playing higher up the ground, he's often receiving the ball from in front of the play. His greatest strength is getting that handball received from behind the ball. When he gets it from in front of the play, he runs sideways. He runs to the direction his side of the body is favoured to, and that's the left side. So if he gets it on the left side of the halfback flank, he's going to run right, and he won't be. By the time he turns, it's too slow. So he goes sideways, lowers his eyes to that option, and it's tough to watch. Whereas if he gets the ball from behind the ball, he builds momentum, and then he's bursting forward. If that makes sense. That's when he's at his damaging best. I'd be putting McKercher back across halfback. It's funny, I look at that West Coast game. We start off the game really poor, 3 goals down. Zurhaar all of a sudden goes forward. McKercher goes back into the back line, and the complexity of that game completely changes. And we started building momentum. And I know we fell away towards the end, but we've never gone back to that. We've always just, Zurhaar can play in the back line. I've been doing that ever since that game for the last 3 weeks. Last 2 weeks. He went back forward yesterday after we dropped Zurhaar. But we need to get McKercher across halfback once again. Let him be the quarterback of this team, because that's where he's most comfortable, and where North ball movement looks its most dangerous as well. I've actually liked what I've seen from a couple of the younger boys. Josh Goda coming back in 2 games in a row, and Cooper Harvey down back as well. Goda is only going to get better with more AFL games under his belt. His confidence is growing, and he gives the side some genuine run and athleticism. I really like him. He's got good skills as well. He generally will take that kick through the middle, and usually he did that a few times yesterday and was pretty good with each of those kicks. Cooper Harvey, I think he's starting to impress me and a lot of the supporters as well. His kicking skills help set up attacks, and something that's gone under the radar is how much his one-on-one defending has improved, especially his ability to defend in transition. He's becoming a reliable defender. With the attacking flair as a bonus as well. So he's starting to make that his own, but I always worry with Cooper Harvey. He has one bad game, all of a sudden he's out of the team. I thought Aiden Core did okay on Mitch Georgiades. I think Georgiades kicked 3 goals, but Mitch Georgiades is a very good player. And at the moment, we don't have too many other options. It's either him or Griffin Logue. Toby Pink's out for the year. Blake Threadgold's out for the year, so we can't trial him. And he will get a body. He does have his weaknesses. There's no doubt about that. But he's the best of the worst, I suppose. Charlie Comben continues to be North's best intercepting defender. He needs a little bit of help there too. But he played all right. Then there's Luke McDonald. He's become one of the most talked about players among North supporters, I've noticed. I know plenty of fans think it's time to move on. And to be honest, I can understand that argument. When you've got someone like Riley Hardiman sitting in the VFL, can't get a game, well, they don't even play the VFL over the weekend, but who's he's out of the team, he's out of contract. You've got to find out exactly what you've got before it's too late, and he decides to move on. And add to that, the experience and leadership of Luke Parker now that he provides behind the ball, and I think North has to seriously consider what its best defensive mix looks like. Just not for this year, but next year as well. Luke Parker will still have another year. But what they want to do, like, I don't mind Goda, Harvey, Hardiman. Who else have we got? McKercher back there. You got Luke Parker, Charlie Comben, and Aiden Core. That's 7. That's your 7 defenders. That's not too bad. Riley Hardiman. We don't have, like, there's no point playing tools just for 3 tools just for the sake of playing 3 tools either. If they're not good enough, they're not good enough. You can try something a little bit different. Try Riley Hardiman as that 3rd tool, and if it doesn't work, you can always say, all right, Zerha, maybe you can go on the back line there and you can play as a 3rd tool if you need to trial it like that. But just try something a little bit different. I don't understand this obsession. Well, we've got to play 3 tools back there like they've been doing most of the year. Like, if Zerha's in the team, he had to play as that 3rd tall defender, and he slowed the team down too much. So, yeah, that's something that really got to look at for the rest of this year and next year, because the modern game is built on your ability to transition from defensive 50 into attack. It's one of the most important positions on the ground. So many goals now come from clean ball movement off half-back, and that's where I think North Melbourne is really struggling at the moment, and it probably will continue struggle. We all know coming into the season the defence lacked genuine speed, probably quality, and unfortunately that's becoming more obvious against the better side. So I'll just go to the chat. Someone's come in right now. So Wolf Whistle, Dino, do you think Clarko's working hard on our team defence? The last 4 weeks have been poor quality, but I believe he's investing in a defensive future to put us in better shape for 2027. Thoughts, please. It's a good question. I don't know, to be honest with you. The team defence has improved a little bit this year, but against the better teams, we have still conceded big scores. It's been okay against the Essendons, the Richmonds, West Coast. They don't punish you. These teams aren't good enough. They don't have the quality to punish you. We seem to have stopped leaking goals out the back a lot more, but it's more turning that defence into attack once we get it. I will talk more about defensive structure and how we can improve it. But yeah, we get the intercept mark, and it's just too slow after that. And the only player that's given us drive out of there, Wolf Whistle, is Colby McKercher, because he comes from half forward. Like I mentioned at the start, he comes from in front of the ball, so it makes it harder for him to break that line. And nothing was more relevant than on a weekend in the first half, particularly when he did get it. that it was just too much sideways movement. I think Josh Goda, once he gets more games into him, he can give a bit more run and speed behind the ball. Riley Hardiman can certainly do that. He's got a long penetrating left foot. I don't understand the obsession that he can't play in the team. Cooper Harvey seems like he's got really good skill, and his one-on-one defending has improved. You mentioned the last 4 weeks there have been poor quality. Yeah, look, and like I sort of mentioned, it's the quality opposition sometimes. There is some really poor teams in the competition right now. Nothing's more evident than probably Essendon. I think, you watched them yesterday, they did the same as they did last week, and St Kilda actually took them to the cleaners and won by 10 plus goals, which is something we should have really done. So, yeah, but it's a fair point in that. But I just believe we need, a little bit more speed. So, when we do win the ball in defence, there's not enough pace or overlap run to slice through the opposition. Instead, the ball gets held up. The kick becomes slow and predictable, and the opposition has plenty of time to set up behind the ball and makes scoring incredibly difficult. And that's just where the modern game is going. I was interesting. I think I watched First Crack, and Brisbane Lions have decided to change their setup completely because the way they've won premierships is not going to win them a premiership this year. So they've made a decision that the game is going this way, which is trying to play counter-attacking football. So when the ball gets in the back half, you play the game with speed and pace through there, and that's where your scores come from. And they're I think second in the competition the last 2 weeks. I know it's a small sample size, but they've played some good teams as well. They haven't played scrubs. They've second in competition from defensive 50 to forward 50 scores. And they believe that's how the game's going, and I believe that too. So there's nothing more important than getting those forward 50 smalls that can defend. You can see the influence someone like a Nick Watson has for Hawthorn. They couldn't defend anything in the first half. They were shocking. Hawthorn, they were 16 goals down halfway through the third quarter. Came back pretty well, but you can see the importance of Nick Watson. Only makes you wonder if we drafted him, where we would have been. Even I was talking to a guy at the gym. He's a Hawthorn supporter. He goes, Nick Watson's their most important player with just what he adds to the team. It's very rare. So there you go. Against lower sides, you could probably get away with it because, your midfield gives you enough opportunities, but against the better teams, they expose that weakness that you don't have that, that player behind the ball. They pressure the ball carrier, force those slow kicks to the boundary, and suddenly North is trapped in its own way. And that's why I think adding speed and ball movement out of the back lines to become a priority. Whether it's McKershott spending more time across half-back, yes please, go to continue to develop, or backing in players who can genuinely take the game on. North has to find a way to improve their defensive 50 transition. So, that's how I look at it anyway, but I will go through your answers when I put the question out there earlier today on X. The other area I want to touch on is the midfield, and in particular, the decision to keep playing three ruckmen. For me, it's not working. I understand the thinking behind it. Not really, actually, but I don't think the balance of the side is right as well. I think a lot of people have come in and said that. It takes away from the running power and the flexibility you need around the ground, and in today's AFL, that's a big issue. Will Dawson, we saw him spend some time in defence on the weekend, and I actually don't mind the idea. The problem is you can't throw him down back for 1 quarter every 6 weeks and expect him to develop as a key defender. If the club genuinely believes he has a future in defence, then commit to it. That's what we drafted him for. Give him consistent minutes in that role so he can learn the positioning, decision-making and boys that the position demands. What you can't keep doing, I believe, is shifting them around for short patches because you'll struggle to build the instincts required for any position, whether it's ruck, forward, defender. Development comes from repetition. It's like going to the gym. you build strength by doing repetition, reps, sets. You keep going back. And at the moment, he's just not getting enough of it. I think North needs to make a decision on what his long-term role is, because I don't think it's a third ruckman, and back it in rather than trying to cover holes from week to week. 26% time on ground. Like, they keep doing this. Every time he's picked, he plays a quarter of a game. What does that do? That's just garbage. I don't understand it. It's not like, I don't know if they're into, if they're coaches and, this strategy coach, Little John or anything in a room are thinking, look, guys, I've got this figured out. I think just playing 25% game time for the 23rd guy in the team and just putting him in as a ruck. Geez, I think we're onto something here. No other team does that. You're wasting, and they're playing him effectively as a sub. You 25%, that's one quarter you're playing him for time on ground. So, and it's not the first time they've done it. So, I'd like to see him play as a defender. If you don't think Aiden Core's going to be there next year, then just play Will Dawson here. Give it a try. It's not going to hurt. I mean, and another thing, look, and I think it's too outcome focused at the moment with Alistair Clarkson. He looks like a coach that he's trying to not so much keep his job, but his focus is wrong at the moment. It's too outcome based. He's not like the kids can't get a game. He's putting his faith in senior players, too much of the senior players. That, probably, I don't know. I wouldn't say they're past it, but you don't have to play him. Like Luke McDonald, you don't have to play him. Play Riley Hardman. Give him a try. I've been much more excited seeing Riley Hardman on a football field than Luke McDonald right now. And that's nothing against Luke McDonald. It's a tough business. I understand it. He's a club servant. He's a club legend. But eventually, you've got to move past these players. If you want to take steps, if you want to continue to go forward, you've got to go past these players. And there's more upside in playing a Riley Hardman for the next 6 weeks rather than playing Luke McDonald for the next 6 weeks, or Cameron Zurhaar in the back line. I don't mind if they want to keep Zane Duursma in the team. Unfortunately, the reserves didn't have a game, so he went out of the team and had to sit there and watch. I don't mind if they sort of said, all right, maybe we just rest Jack Darling. It doesn't bother me. Like, I know you got more chance of winning with a Jack Darling in your team, but Jack Darling's not going to be this player in 12 months' time. I wouldn't think so anyway. There's more chance Zane Duursma could be a game breaker in 12 months' time, be a quality third forward. We've already seen bits and pieces of it this year. There's no doubt about that. And I don't mind if they just want to rest Jack Darling and play Zane Duursma. I'm more excited by that rather than, all right, Jack Darling, he does a job, but he's 34 years old. So, it becomes too much about the outcome, trying to win games, trying to get 10th spot, and saying, oh, look how far we've come. And I know a lot of people came into the chat, left comments like, we're prioritising, we're winning games because of the fixture. We're not winning games because we're taking big steps forward. I think there's been improvement this year, don't get me wrong, but it's probably, the wins have come because who we've beaten? We've beaten Essendon twice, beaten Richmond twice, beaten West Coast. We've beaten Gold Coast once, who aren't in the top 10. I can't even remember who the other two wins. Port Adelaide, we beat them round one. They're fourth last still. I know they're a better team than that. And there's been one other win. I don't know. And a percentage is around low 90, so that is an improvement. I'm not going to disparage that. But it seems to be an improvement, and I'll talk about the midfield right now. Harry Sheasel, 40 touches again, outstanding. LDU, 31. So between them, they finished with 71 disposals. And when those two get their hands on a footy, North Melbourne is a pretty good team. But that's talent. You kind of expect that. If they're not going to get close checked or anything like that, and it's a strange thing to say when it's a 21-year-old kid that we expect him to get 40 touches a game. It's ridiculous. But we got back into the contest because they were, in the third quarter, we became more aggressive at the coalface. They hunted the footy. Sorry about that. Won the contested ball, and most importantly, their pressure went through the roof. Their pressure rating climbed to well over 200 in the third quarter, and suddenly the game was being played on North's terms. That intensity led the team to claw their way back, level the scores, and gave themselves a genuine chance heading into the final quarter. The disappointing part was we couldn't sustain it. Port Adelaide responded brilliant in the last term. They matched North's physicality around the contest and then took control of the clearance battle. Once they started winning first possession again, they were able to dictate territory and put North's defence under enormous pressure. Zach Butters and Jason Horne-Francis were the biggest reasons why. When the game was there to be won, they lifted another gear, won the crucial clearances, and drove Port forward time and time again. That's ultimately where the game was decided. Now, unfortunately, we did see George Wardlaw do another hamstring in the last quarter, halfway through last quarter. It hasn't come out. He's just said he's frustrated that how long he's going to be out for. It didn't look too bad, but it looks like just a minor strain, and that's going to happen. I think he overlunged a little bit, but we're hoping it's not going to be a regular pattern because he's done a few in his time, and he's an important player. He really is. He's a culture setter. I think Brad Johnson might have even said that he's probably one of North's most important players, and that's probably true, especially if you're going to rely on the midfield. Then, he is one of North's most important players. But unfortunately, he's done a hamstring, and you look at his time on ground, it's been around 60% for most of the year. So we're managing his minutes, but he's still done a soft tissue injury, so that's a little bit of a concern. But hopefully it's only a 1 or 2 weeker and we can get him back on the park. The positive is he hasn't had any head injuries or anything like that, so that's really good to see. He's become a lot better with his technique when he lowers down to get the football, when he gets his head over the football. He seems to turn his body a lot better and protect himself a lot better in that regard, so that's a good thing. But we wait and see with bated breath on how long he's going to be out for. Whether the club's going to be extra cautious now because it's probably his 5th or 6th time he's done his hamstring over the course of his short career is a matter of wait and see. Finally, let's talk about the forward line because for most of the afternoon, it was virtually non-existent. Nick Larkey is still looking like he's got the yips a little bit in front of goal. He finished with 1 goal too. And you just don't have that same confidence when he's lining up at the moment. Cameron Zurhaar was barely sighted. Jacob Costanzi and Charlie Spargo just didn't give North enough, whether it was lack of opportunities or lack of impact. When they had their chances, the forward line simply didn't function. We kicked 7 goals for the entire game, and only 3 of those came from the forwards. Jack Darling, who seems to be, 48 years old and leading the way, kicked 2, while Nick Larkey managed 1. The rest of the goals came from the midfielders pushing forward. And now some of the fails of the forwards too has to come from the use further up the ground. It was just too slow. It was terrible. We talked about that. The delivery inside 50 was poor, lacked polish, composure and purpose. The numbers tell a story. North had 380 disposals, but generated only 42 inside 50. So we'll do nothing with the football, like we sort of said, going sideways, backwards. Port Adelaide, on the other hand, had just 295 disposals, yet managed 57 inside 50s. So that's the difference right there. They use the ball a lot better, and that makes a difference. Their ball movement, Port Adelaide's, was direct and damaging. North's was slow, safe, and ineffective. We had plenty of the footy, but we weren't dangerous with it, and that's the biggest issue for me. It's not about winning the disposal count. It's about what you do with the ball. Right now, North Melbourne gets enough of it, but they're simply not hurting the opposition often enough. Until that changes, it's going to be very difficult to consistently challenge the better teams in the competition. But, that's my thoughts. Thanks for coming into Wolf Whistle just before with your comment. That's my thoughts. So what I'll do is I'll go on X and get your people's thoughts. So Roos saw it. 5-day break from a taxing game. Some players may need to be rested. Hate it if it's JD. Look at my 5-day break. It's probably not a bad time to rest him. Paul Curtis is back this week. It wouldn't be a bad thing to get Zane Dersma back in as well after a week off. So, yeah, look, if a couple of players need to be rested, so be it. Skeptikos, so the Greek freak, devastating. We've really not progressed much and are marginally ahead of Essendon Richmond on par with West Coast, and Carlton will beat us now. Clarkson is done. Game plan, selection and player development, awful. No, fair enough. Look, and that's the thing. If people want to be upset and they sort of want to question Clarkson, then everyone's got every right to come in with that. Whether you agree with it or not, it's, myself, these people, most of these people would be members that come on here. North Melbourne's a very smart community. I'm sucking up to you guys a bit, so you give me good reviews and good comments. No, I'm just joking. Look, I don't care. If you want to leave me a bad comment or don't agree with me at all, it really does not affect me. I don't take anything personally. Look, he's, like I said, people have got every right, and I'm happy to come on here and they can say what they think. It's a judgment-free zone from my way. So, yeah. P.D at Go the Kanga. It actually hurts to even think about it again. So, not a fan, PD. Jeff Donny was as expected. We have improved since last year, but still a long way to go. I expect more list changes at the end of the year. I haven't lost faith in Viney and Clarko. Well, that's good to hear. Thanks, Jeff. Thanks for coming in there. Dino at Dean K88. I've given up hope, and I'm usually an optimist. Yeah, well, fair enough, Dino. Like I said, it's a safe place. Fat Crit. Very worried. Realistically, we have improved against the bottom 2 or 3 sides, and that's it. Can't see us win another game this year. You never know. Thanks for coming in, mate. Aussie punting battlers. Kind of what I expected. Wasn't expecting to win. Tad disappointed, but not over the top like many comments in this website. I think X, generally, it is a pretty emotional space for a lot of people. So, yeah, that's where they vent. But thanks for coming in. Shimbona Central. Really frustrating. Statistically, we had more of the ball and more control, but the same issues are killing us. Questions must be asked about our coaching and decisions. Fair enough. NA at Numa 33. The game plan in the first half. WTF? Question mark. Huge concerns. Couldn't even move the ball past Port. We have way too much dead weight playing. I mentioned the names a number of times. Way too many soft efforts from leaders, experienced players, not good enough. Play the kids. I think I might have mentioned that as well, but thanks for coming in. Mark, we have regressed over the course of the season. No one plays with any confidence and strut except for Comben. Okay. I think maybe a bit harsh on Harry Sheasel. I think he goes all right. A couple others seem to go all right. So, yeah, no, fair enough, mate. Look, like I said, Mark, you're entitled to your opinion, mate. So, I'm not here to question or anything like that. Kanga Boy, it's not good, Dean. Spargo, poor. Zerha, no good. Wardlaw, injured. Goda, very good. Only positive, we need to win away from Marvel. Otherwise, we're not changing. Very average team. Yeah. And that's got to be the challenge. We don't look too bad at Marvel, but everywhere else we've kind of struggled. Patrick, honest thoughts, though, it was enough for me to cancel KO. I watch every game the AFL are cooked. The umpires have decided games this year, and anyone paying for that is just dumb. Look, you're judging other people there, Patrick. So, look, you don't just have to watch football on KO. I would have got it because they show the Premier League, don't they? But if my team from the Championship went up this year, I probably would have got KO. I'll watch a few of their games, but that's the way it goes. But, yeah, if people can watch other stuff on KO. But the umpiring, that was shocking. Free kick count was awful. It was like watching an NFL game at times where it's just stop, start. It was a bit of a joke. Ben Oz, doesn't really matter this season. They've improved enough. Another preseason in some of those leagues. We're going to be hard to stop in the near future. Just need some polish. Absolutely, Ben. I like the optimism. I wish I had that optimism right now. Like when you got, I can't look too far forward. I always try and live in the moment. And at the moment, I'm a bit frustrated with, but no, I like it. I really do. Patrick came in again. Port pipped the umpires in a tight contest, 73-71. I don't think the free kick count was that high, but thank you. Daniel Ucker, pretend punter, bad loss. Drop, Larky, McDonald, Spargo, and Core. That's a lot of people to drop, but they're under a little bit of pressure. Cobster, he just wrote, fucked. Fair enough. Daryl Parrott, totally expected. People have started thinking finals are delusional. We have only beaten dud teams, and Carlton was a dud team then when we did play them. I doubt we win another game, so get ready for a belting from the media over the next week. Over the next 7 weeks. Bring on the W season. Yeah, looking forward to the AFLW season. The girls are looking pretty good for 3 in a row, but we'll worry about that another time. But look, if we don't win another game this year, Daryl, then there will be a lot more questions asked. Chips, honestly, it's like watching amateurs play football. Has never been poorer. Okay. Geth Sentinel, maybe best of the also rans. Nowhere near competitive enough. Waste too much ball. We don't do much with it. A lot of sideways stuff, so we need to fix that. But thanks for coming in, mate. Rick Morris, I'm not sure we kept kicking it long to Ali's fist. Maybe the slow ball movement might have been a fair chunk of that reason, but thanks for coming in. Xavier Liar shows where our list is at. Total lack of leadership, total lack of class, total lack of grunt. Ooh, that's harsh, Xavier. But no, like I said, everyone's entitled to their opinion. I'm happy to voice their opinion on here, on this platform. And if anyone listens from the club and they want to get an idea of what supporters are thinking, not that they probably do. Look, I don't expect them to listen to me or supporters. They probably, they get paid a lot more than me and you would doing their job. But like I said, most of us are shareholders for the club, so we're entitled to opinion. And if I want to hear it, they're more than welcome to listen to my podcast. But I don't know who listens to it, so it doesn't matter. I'll still keep doing it. At listen, he's got a picture of Lockie Daviston, who on draft night said, if I end up a crowd, don't quote me for that. Yeah, that's interesting. He's put Lockie Daviston in there. David sort of said, I give up, never give up, keep going to that finish line. It's like a marathon, mate. Don't give up on him. Rude Hilda, disappointing. I doubt we'll win another game this year. A few people have said that now, haven't they? So, there's a few concerns that we may not win another game. I think we will. Make Australia great again. Poor performance led by the worst VFL AFL captain ever. I don't know if he's the worst. I think there's been a lot worse than him. But, like I said, if you think that, you're entitled to your opinion. Boomer, at Miami Heat finest, a dreadful. So, I think Boomer must be happy with the Greek freak going to the Miami Heat. Got traded for pretty much their whole team. So, they're going to have to build a roster with... what is it? Adebayo, Giannis. I think they signed Tim Hardaway Jr. Mitchell as their starting point guard. But anyway, I'm getting off track here. So he's come in and said, game style is horrendous. We just let our defenders pad stats at the cost of our offense. Hawks' game style was chip the ball up the ground, not chip it around the defense. Thanks, Boomer, for coming in, mate. Good luck to the Heat this year. Lewis Ante. Any talk of us improving this year is disingenuous. We've beaten the same teams we beat last year. Only difference, we played them twice. Too many players gifted games. Form is not valued. Players overrated. Daniel Stevens downhillers, and many others. And that's fair enough. You're allowed to question that. I know a lot of people talk about Caleb Daniels last 2 weeks with 40 possessions, but we want to see it against the better teams as well. So that's only fair. No, thanks for coming in, Lewis. Herky, not surprising, we are not playing well. Haven't since the Giants game, to be honest. Makes me wonder if we have changed the game plan since Freo. Certainly not being scored against, but not scoring well ourselves. Ugly wins, competitive losses that would have been 6 to 8 goals in the past. Yeah, I've mentioned that last few weeks, that Freo game in the... After that first quarter, I thought that we started the game off pretty well. We just made a couple of bad errors. And, yeah, it's in the first quarter and we're a couple of goals down. But I thought we were trying to take the game on and we gave ourselves a good chance to score. And ever since then, we've sort of, our games have been ugly, haven't they? Like, we've been winning games 10 goals to 8. Hardly enthralling contest, but it feels like that's what they're focusing on, just on outcomes. And it's not like we're beating anyone special, really. So we're not smashing these teams, but that's all right. Dutchy was at the game. We weren't brave enough with ball in hand. Port defend well if you let them set up. When we got a turnover, we went sideways instead of challenging them. Very frustrating. Yeah, thanks for coming in, Dutchy. I couldn't agree more. Jaden, so many things, but the biggest issue, which it's been all year, is our delivery into the forward 50. It is horrendous to watch, just bombing it over and over to no one's advantage, as well as never having any crumbers at the front or back. We're 18th in the competition for forward 50 ground ball gets. So, yeah, that's something we've got to work on as well. JT, North have improved this year, but the kicking backwards and over handballing has been the game plan for 15 years and doesn't work. North looks so good when they take the game on and move the ball quickly, yet they don't do it enough. Then their inability to man up is infuriating too. Look, you're not going to just run and gun. You can't do that for 4 quarters. But like you said, we just haven't seen enough. We seen it last quarter against Gold Coast when the game where we had to go all out to try and win a game, and it came off. But that's very rarely going to happen. But yeah, it'd be nice to try a little bit, be more proactive in the first quarter. I thought, what was it? We kicked 5 goals for the game. In the third quarter, we kicked 7 for the game. Or 4 goals in the third quarter, and we kicked 7 for the game. We weren't. And the only way we're proactive is if we win the contest hard. And that's the way we get the ball going forward. If our midfield dominates, then we can put on a score. But other than that, we don't see it enough from the defensive 50. None 462088843. I thought we were very disappointed. Defence was okay, but our forwards, bar Darling, were useless. Mid's active but toothless. Sheasel had a bad day. It happens. I didn't think he had a bad day at all. Look, he wasn't as damaging, I'd probably put it. I think he only had 5 scoring involvements from his 40 touches as opposed to last week, but he didn't have a bad game. I think we needed Hardiman to get some penetration. I'd like to see Hardiman. Like I said, versus Essendon, Caleb Daniel beats up bad teams but struggles versus very good teams. Look, to be honest, when I was playing cricket, and I played the bottom teams, I was very much a flat track bully. So I can't sit there and show some of these players. I made runs on postage stamps a lot of the time, probably saved my career in the mid-20s. And then against the good teams, I'd go for 3 or something like that. I would have loved to have seen my average back then against the good teams compared to the bad teams. So, look, and that's just part and parcel and the nature of the business. You're always going to play better against the worst teams as opposed to the better teams. Yeah, we would love to see Caleb Daniel get 40 touches against Port Adelaide, against Hawthorn in a few weeks' time, but it's probably not realistic. Those teams are a lot better than Essendon, Richmond and West Coast. So that's just how life is and that's just how it works. But thanks for coming in anyway. Yawning Clan, don't know what the game plan is and still have rubbish senior players on our list. Fair enough, mate. NMFC 1925. It's become clearer each week that guys like Zerha and McDonald need to be moved on. Have been great servants of our club, but they're preventing progress and need to be moved on or play second fiddle. McDonald's out of contract in the year, so look, it may be that'll be a conversation they'll need to have. Zerha just signed a 5-year contract, was it last year or the year before? So he's here for the next few years, and I don't think any other team's going to be jumping up and down to try and get him into the club. So we'll see what happens. Steve, oh, this is very harsh. Given up, pathetic. Listening to Clarkson press conference just about sums up where we are. At the lot of them are delusional. Probably won't win another game. Could be some smashings coming up. Well, you never know. But Steve, if you're frustrated, that's fair enough. But don't give up. Never give up. Don't set the standard. Don't set the example. These are the times when you stick fat and keep going to the games. Keep going on Friday night. That's what North Melbourne is. We're shin boners. We stick fat. So don't give up. At Master at _ Moddy, team needs a new voice and new thinking. Larky and Zerha as an example should be on a chopping block as strategically they hurt us, but there is a lot more. Fair enough, mate. Gazler, not so much the loss, but the way we played was a disaster. Oh, okay. Yeah, look, yeah, we didn't play well. Bottas, WDC26. Very, very annoying, but glad to be in the fight for finals and not 17th battle. We need to beat the Pies and Saints, though. Some people not at their best again. Spargo, Larks, Alma, Costanti, Colby, all shocking. New ruck rule needs scrapping. Tons of pressure on Clarko to do something. I haven't mentioned that, have I? Tristan Sherry, yeah, he was look, I don't know. Someone came into the comments and sort of said, don't put... I think it was Neville, AJ Neville, in the Spotify comments, said, don't put the words useless and Tristan Sherry in the same sentence. I never said that. I said he hasn't been useless. Just to clarify that, AJ, I love you, mate. Your support I appreciate over the times, but yeah. He's lost his influence. There's no doubt about that because he's out of the centre square. But and I said he hasn't been useless. He's still effective and still playing a contribution. Probably not to the degree that he was All-Australian in the last couple of years or close to All-Australian. He's lost that. He's probably just become a middle-tier ruckman now. But at the end of the day, they could change the rules again. The AFL, they don't know what they're doing. So we'll see. Hopefully they change it back to how it used to be. And that might happen, then becomes one of the best ruckmen in the competition. Pagan's patron, I'm concerned about long-term implications. Our list has talented players and dud players. I can't do another rebuild. I don't think they'll... Well, if they sort of said, look, we're just going to rebuild and we're just going to go back to the draft, then Brodie Rawlings has just got to walk away. There's no way you can do this job for 7 years. Look, to be honest... myself and any of you guys listening to this, if we had an opportunity, and this is a dig at Brodie Rawlings, if we had an opportunity to build a list, would we be going any worse than what we are now over 7 years? I'm pretty sure myself, anyone listening, like I said, could do this exact same thing. The only thing he's really hit on is Paul Curtis towards the end of the draft. I know that people will say, oh, what about Cooper Trimbath? That wasn't him. That was Will Thursfield, Liam Shields. What about Luke Parker, Caleb Daniel? That's who Clarkson wanted to get to the club. He wanted those leads at the club, so he just told Rawlings, go get these guys. And he met up with those individuals as well. So, yeah, outside of... And the top picks, like Harry Sheezel, anyone could have picked him. George Wardlaw, anyone could have picked him. I'll tell you what, I would have picked Nick Watson. I said... You can go back to my old episodes before the draft started. I said I would have taken Nick Watson and Daniel Curtin. Because Daniel Curtin back then was touted as a key defender. He's playing on the wing for the Crows, but they don't need him to play as a key defender because they've got enough. Jordan Butts can't get a game. So, and that would have solved a little bit of our issue there. Instead, we got McKercher. Look, we wouldn't have got McKercher and Dersma. So, it depends how you want to look at it. But who knows? Yeah, can't worry about it now, but yeah, it is what it is. Andrew, pretty much how I thought it would go down. Some good stuff and some horrible stuff. We weren't far away from winning in Adelaide, though. He's giving it a 5 out of 10. Yeah, it's probably middle of the road, probably a bit less than that, to be honest with you. Paul George, the newly acquired Celtic, FFS. So yeah, maybe he's not happy with the trade. Getting traded for Jaylen Brown. So sorry to hear that, PG. Funding not secured. Some funny usernames, that's for sure. Not shocked, but genuinely surprised at complete lack of effort and urgency in the last quarter. Yeah, it just looked like Port Adelaide responded by bringing the heat. They won the clearances, and that was it. We had nothing else going for us. I know McKercher tried a couple of times, and there's been a lot of criticism about his ball use and his decision-making in the last quarter, but yeah, he seems to get the handball receive on the wrong side as well, going towards his right, and then he's got to readjust and go back to his left. So that's something he's got to work on. That's got to be coaching, and he's got to develop that part of his game as well. I didn't mention that earlier, but thanks for coming in there. Anyway, Madison EA, the biggest problem is between the ears. They still don't believe they can come out and put teams away. It's confidence. Look, it probably is. Confidence, belief. So, yeah, that's something they've got to work on. Ash at Howie _22. We have only beaten bottom teams. Too many players don't work hard enough to defend. Larkey has gone backwards from 73 goals to staging for frees. He does stage for free kicks a lot. Yeah, I agree with that. Why we re-signed Zerha? He doesn't know. Stevens and McKercher are scared. Spargo too fat. Dawson is a key back. Play him there in capital letters. Listen to Ash, boys. Anyone at the club. Daniel effing shit. Like I said, I mentioned Carl Daniel before. Stevens and McKercher. Look, I never say anyone that goes out on an AFL football field is scared or anything. They're a lot more courageous than myself or anyone else really. To go out on an AFL football field it can be quite scary. Sometimes you're playing against big bodies. But I'm never going to say players a coward or anything like that. That's just I think there's a lot more to it than that. But that's just me. You're entitled to your opinion, Ash. So you go for it, mate. Kanga analyst Larkey. So he's gone through each player. So Larkey, ghost. Zerha, very little impact. Spargo, dud. Costanti, I stood for you, bro. Crying emoji. Dawson, useless. Stevens, ghost. Wardlaw, not your hamstring again. McDonald, ghost. Sheasel did amazing. McKercher, great, but a little worried. LDU, goat. Combin, my effing goat. So he's coming in there. So I'll just see if anyone else is coming to the chat. Allowed your opinion, Lewis, but so this is Wolf Whistle again. Sorry about that. Allowed your opinion, Lewis, but crazy to say we have not improved. 8 wins versus 5.5 last year, and we've moved out of the bottom 3 and now into the next tier of teams that have 7 and 9 wins. I think a few people have said that, Wolf Whistle, that we may that sort of said we have not improved. I agree with you there, but that's my opinion. That's your opinion. We have improved a little bit. We would have liked to have seen a little bit more. We're becoming a bit entitled, aren't we? We want to see wins. We want to see good football. We want to see everything, don't we? So it's just how it is. Yeah, look, I want to be entertained watching it. I don't want to win games 10 goals to 8. But yeah, I can understand it. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. There's nothing else. I'm just going to quickly go through if any late answers came in, but I don't think so. I think we're all good. I think we're all good. So, thank you for everyone that's come into the chat and giving me your opinion. I did do a solo podcast tonight, so I wasn't too sure if I could get someone on. But I thought it was a good opportunity to hear your guys' opinion. I know I put the question out there each time, but sometimes it's hard to go through the answers. What I'm thinking of doing, I'm not too sure if you guys would be on board with this, but after a game, I can't really do Sunday. Sundays are too hard because then you talk about Monday morning. But I remember when I first started, this is going back a few years ago, I used to do a Sunday morning hangover show. I used to call it Sunday morning hangover after a North Melbourne game because generally you get smashed, and I'd put the question out after the game and get people's answers. So it's something I'm looking at doing again. So like on a Saturday, or let's say this week, like Saturday morning, I'll just jump on line, probably 7 o'clock in the morning. I'm a very early bird. I wake up pretty early. I'll just jump online and sort of, like after the game, Friday night. Look, it might be Sunday morning. I'll do it. Like Saturday, I'll put the question out, what are people's thoughts? And then Sunday morning, I just do a Sunday morning hangover where it just comes through all your answers like then, and get your guys' opinions on the game. I don't try to do it straight after the game because a lot of people do have emotions, get emotional, and they don't have time to think about it. Like even I get emotional and thinking this is garbage, or how the hell do we lose that game, and so forth. So it's something I might do. So let me know if it's something you guys would like to do. It gets you guys more involved as well. I can put it out on Instagram as well. I'm not big on socials. I think most people would know that. I keep saying a lot, don't I? Yeah, I'm not big on socials. I'm not a big person. But I kind of, look, if I want to do this a little bit more seriously and get you guys involved, then I've got to, just go on there and just get your guys' opinions. So, let me know if anyone it would be down for that. But that's pretty much it for me. No, there's not much else to go through. So that's where we'll leave it for this week's episode of the Hashtag Kangaroos podcast. It was another frustrating afternoon/evening on a Sunday night for North Melbourne. We saw glimpses of what this side is capable of in the third quarter, but against quality opposition, you simply can't afford to play one quarter of football. I think that's good enough. The first half put us too far behind, and despite a spirited fight back, Port Adelaide had all the answers when the game was on the line. Sorry, I'll go back to here. I'll go back to the normal screen, get out of X. So this season, I feel, is still about growth, but growth has to come with learning. The effort intensity from the third quarter now has to sort of become the standard for 4 quarters. Pressure rating, has to be at well over 180. I'm sorry, I've got my nephew staying here at the moment. He's just so loud. His decibels are well over 200 each time he talks. He's 6 years old, but it's just far too loud. That's all I can hear. So I've got the headphones in. I can still hear him like as loud as anything. So it has been hard for me to concentrate. So bear with me. Show me a bit of sympathy, guys. Thanks to everyone who sent in their thoughts and continues to support the podcast each and every week. I genuinely appreciate the interaction. I love hearing the different opinions from the North Melbourne faithful. If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Leave us a 5-star review if you can. Share the episode with your fellow Roos supporters. It really helps the podcast reach more North fans. You can follow me on YouTube as well. It's at hashtag Kangaroos. You'll find me, and then you can watch the old live shows and so forth there. So you can do that, and I'm pretty sure you can come up with a notification when I start my live show as well. You can put that on. So because sometimes I generally try and do it day after the game on Monday, but sometimes it's busy. Then I'll do Tuesday or Sunday night. So at least this way you can find out more. Sorry about the cough. At Wolf Whistle came in late. Love the show, Dean. Thanks, mate. Appreciate it, mate, and appreciate you coming in the show as well. So until later this week, I'll be back preview a game coming up against Collingwood, probably Thursday night on Friday. Until next time, take care, keep the faith, and as always,